So today we're going to talk about what I eat or don't eat before a run. How's it going, guys? My name is Justin Thompson. I'm your average running PT, and I help the average runner achieve their own personal elite status. If that's something you guys are into, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you know when the next video comes out. So we're talking a little bit about nutrition today, but I'm kind of going to give you guys what I do because that's really about all I know. I'm not a nutritionist, so everything that I say here should absolutely be taken to a doctor, nutritionist, dietitian, whoever that you get advice from for eating and fueling. But I wanted to give you guys my thoughts on how I do things and why I do them the way that I do. Now, the first thing you need to keep in mind is I do most of my runs in the morning, so my fueling strategies might be a little bit different than yours if you run mid-morning, midday, or later in the afternoon. So let's get into what I do and the reasons why I do it. So let's think for a second about training and what kind of training am I doing. So I really kind of dig into the 80-20 principle. 80-20 meaning 80% at really easy efforts, so aerobic conditioning, versus 20% at really hard efforts, so very high level anaerobic stuff. I don't spend a lot of time in the middle ground, at least not until I get closer to maybe a race where I'm trying to dial in a little bit more of race paces or things like that. So the reason I talk about that is because for the different kinds of running that I do, I will fuel differently in the morning before I go for those runs. So let's first talk about those easy runs, and for anything up to about an hour and 15 minutes, I won't eat anything at all for breakfast. I'll wake up, I'll throw my shoes on, and within 15 minutes after getting up, I'm pretty much out the door. Now, it is really important to make sure that you are hydrating well enough before heading out the door, especially if you're in a hot, humid environment like I am here in Florida. But in terms of actually taking in fuel or things that are going to give me calories to burn, if I'm running an hour and 15 minutes or less, I'm actually not going to eat anything at all. Now again, I do have my 20-20 hydration strategy where I drink 20 ounces of water about 20 minutes before actually starting my run. So if I'm out the door 15 minutes after I wake up, how does that work? Well, those first 5 to 10 minutes, I'm actually just walking. So I still get that 20 minutes before I actually start running where I have drank those 20 ounces of water. Now, why don't I eat before a run of an hour and 15 minutes or less? Now, with these really slow aerobic type of runs where I'm usually using MAF method or Maffetone training, I am generally trying to make sure that my body is not burning a lot of carbohydrate for fuel. I'm trying to get it to burn more fat for fuel. And there's plenty of fat stores in our body to pull from, even after we just wake up in the morning. So if I had to go and run a harder run though, so say I'm going out to do some intervals or a tempo run or something along those lines, I would need something to fuel myself, because at those higher level efforts, I'm going to be burning a lot more carbohydrate for fuel. So when it gets into those 20% of my running that I am needing to push myself a little bit more, there's no way I'm going to be able to wake up, head out the door, and just go, because I will burn up any of the carbohydrates that are stored in my body because of the fasting that I have done overnight. But for those runs of an hour and 15 minutes or less, I really have plenty of fat stores in my body to just head out the door and start running. And if I'm running at a really easy pace, I really shouldn't get tired or run out of fuel. Now, with that said, I know that not everybody can do that. I know that not everybody can just head out the door without eating anything and expect that their stomach is going to be okay. Because a lot of people, they need something on their stomach before heading out the door. I used to be that way. Now, I've been able to transition, and it didn't start with an hour to an hour and 15 minutes of running without fueling. It started with doing maybe 20 minutes without taking anything in, and then working my way up to now being able to do about an hour and 15. Now, anything beyond an hour and 15, generally I'm making some kind of loops that pass me by my house at least once. So I am going to stop and take something, whether it's just a bite or two of something that's sugary or something like that, that's going to give me just a little bit more to get me to go, those extra few minutes. Now, I won't necessarily wait until the hour and 15 minute point to take those things. I might take it a little bit earlier so that I don't, kind of start hitting some kind of a wall or something like that too early in the run. I will go ahead and I'll probably somewhere around 45 minutes or so, go ahead and stop by the house, take on more water, take on a little bit of carbohydrate before heading back out and finishing that run of 90 minutes plus. Now, if I'm heading out the door to do a hard workout, I'm definitely going to take something on, as I said before. And for me, I can't take on a lot because you don't want junk just sitting in your stomach. So you want something that's going to be pretty quickly and easily digestible, but it's going to give you enough sugar to propel you through this hard workout that is going to be burning up some carbohydrate. So you got to make sure that you have that carbohydrate in you in order to complete these workouts. So what do I do for those types of workouts? Well, I have to eat something to get the carbohydrate in me, but then I also need to wait at least 20 to 30 minutes to kind of let those things settle in my stomach. And you want to eat something that's somewhat easily digestible. So for me, one of the best things that I eat if I'm going to do either a race or a hard workout is going to be a banana with peanut butter. And the banana is fruit, so it's going to digest fairly quickly. And then the peanut butter is just got a little bit more of that sugar in it, but also a little bit of protein, and I just love peanut butter. Now, some other options, if I have, about an hour before I have to run, I might actually eat a Cliff Bar. I love Cliff Bars. I really do think that, that's one of the best fueling things for me if I have enough time. So, because they're a little bit more low glycemic index, they're a little bit more, kind of grainy and fibrous, so they need a little bit more time to kind of get through. So that's it. That's how I fuel for my runs. I want to make sure that you guys know that this is not me telling you what to do. It's just a strategy that I implement. And, some of the reasons, obviously, whenever I'm running easy, I want to make sure that I'm working on burning fat for fuel and not just burning carbohydrate, because carbohydrate is a very limited source of energy, while fat is almost unlimited in our body. And then for those harder runs, well, you got to have some carbohydrate in you in order to propel you at those faster paces, because your body is going to burn a higher percentage of carbs when you are running faster. So what you have to do there is you got to make sure that you're not having something that's going to cause you some sort of abdominal or stomach distress, that you're eating something that is quickly or easily digestible, or you're spending enough time between eating and going out on your run if you're eating something that's a little bit more hefty. Now, for those of you that are doing runs in the middle of the day or later in the day, you kind of have to plan your meals around this. So you kind of have to understand, if you're going to be running at noon, you might want to have some kind of a snack at 11:30, especially if you haven't eaten anything since breakfast. But you definitely don't want to go for a run immediately after you eat a full lunch, so you got to keep those things in mind. And then if you go out and run later in the day, say like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, again, same thing. You either need to have some kind of a easily digestible snack about 30 minutes before, or you need to make sure that you're maybe at least a couple of hours beyond your last big meal so that you've had enough time for stuff to get out of your stomach and actually to where it can provide a little bit of energy to you. So that's all I've got for today. Go on out there, seek your elite. God bless, and I'll see you next time.